Good evening. It's Wednesday today, I believe, and as a result, hump day is over. Or at least it is for us here in Europe, where it is now the evening, the day has humped over. So, we do really well. We're doing really well on this triangle. So hopefully today, with all being well and, the sun being in the right direction and all that kind of stuff, we are hoping to finish the triangle, which seems super quick. So let's see where we're at. I have refilled Hedgie, so he is feeling somewhat fine today. I have, however, realised just how many of these wretched pins it takes to do a triangle. In part, and I will show you why. You may recall my excessively full pot of pins. This is all that's left in the bottom now. Yeah. I mean, I knew I'd need more pins, but Sorry about that, Naughty Cat. Apparently I was on mute. Well, my microphone had muted itself somehow. So how are you? Come on, mic got put on mute. No. Well, I guess like everything, hang on a sec, let me try something. I obviously didn't notice that my little lips on the thing weren't moving. My meeting today that could have been, concerning, didn't happen, so that was a bonus. So it's now been pushed to next week. What a shame. Yeah, slightly kind of out of phase. That's kind of how I'm doing at the moment. You know when like you've got a cold and you kind of move your hand like this and you kind of almost see a vapor trail on it. I'm kind of slightly kind of out of sync with life today. But I'm fine enough. I'll be fine. So now I need to put you in here. One, two, three, four, five. See, I don't know what it is, but 1, 2. I guess that one's 5. Ooh. Did you have to part with body parts to pay for it, or were they reasonable? Oh, that's not too bad then. Well, I wish you luck with that. I had a bit of a shock today. So you know these bobbins that I bought? She says, grabbing one to remind you. So these ones, because of course I have lots of bobbins, so the ones that arrived kind of like, you know, end of last week. Well, when I bought 150 of those, the grand total including delivery was just over £100. Don't cry, just yeah. So when my £100 including delivery part of bobbins arrived, Royal Mail made me pay £38 for their £11 fee and something like 28 quid for import duty. So can you explain to me, please, Naughty Cat, given that import duty is a fixed fee as a percentage, how, when I buy 750 bobbins costing about it's over 400 quid in parts plus delivery kind of thing, right? Hang on. £415. The import tax and duty plus a £15 fee for UPS is only £53. I expected a lot worse than that, because, well, it was a third of it last time. Now, okay, the fee doesn't help, but even the fee was more than a quarter. So, how is 400 and something quid's worth of goods? I say only, but only £53, because, well, that's like an eighth of the cost. Basically, yeah. Yeah, basically, yeah. And I think this is where crafting gets really frustrating, is that, I mean, with all due respect to these bobbins, while these bobbins are utterly glorious, dude, how more simple can you get, right? I mean, you know, they're not even fancy kind of twiddly bobbins. They're going, you know, mark 2 bits with a pencil for the end and start of the neck. Use chisel, bring it in a bit. Make another one at another pencil line on the rose end, and make a small dent with it. So that's like 2 seconds with a chisel. I would arguably say make a long rod of them, so 2 or 3 in a go. Mark where you're going to divide them, hack them off round the bottoms next, and hack the next one off round the bottoms next, you know? Now, admittedly, this particular wood, maybe it's really expensive to get hold of. So I don't actually object so much to the price, because, as I said, if you think of it, 700. I said to you before that I've said many times, I can show you a bobbin on eBay stroke many websites where they're talking £12 to £25 per bobbin. Now, admittedly, they are usually, you know, commemorative bobbins, but it's a bobbin. It's a little bit of wood, maybe with some paint, stroke, things stuck on it, but it's a bobbin. Much as a eclectic collection of, you know, commemorative bobbins can be a pretty thing to look at. Flick, 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 flick. You're not really looking at the bobbins. You're really not. You care how they feel. You care how they weigh. They could be bright pink and green. It really doesn't matter, right? Seriously, they could be bright pink and green and it wouldn't matter a jot, right? So, much as the decorations are pretty and all that kind of stuff, you know, you could, you know, put some, you know, gold leaf and some diamonds in it, but it's flick, 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 flick. You're not even going to notice, right? So I have a bit of a rule that more than £1 a bobbin is kind of unnecessary if you can, you know, unless you were to find, you know, almost someone who's going to hand make you one and do like gold inlay of your name and stuff, right? No, don't need it. Don't need bobbins enough to do that. So 750 bobbins for 400 quid. Well, clearly that's not many pence per bobbin. Especially as that includes postage, which was about 40 quid. So we're talking like £38 for 750 bobbins. We're talking the best part, 25p-ish. Maybe even 20p, somewhere in that direction. I can't be bothered to work it out. Brain's tired. It's been one of those days. But we're talking 20 to 25p per bobbin. And I really like them. So I don't begrudge 25p a bobbin. Really don't. I think these were 0.11 euros each. Right, again, more than happy to pay that, which is why I've got quite a crap load of those. It's, that kind of money, because it is something I'm really enjoying doing. Yeah, sure. My parents taught me when I was a child that you should look for value for money. And value for money comes in many forms. If you buy a cheap one, and it only lasts 2 things, is it actually good value if every 2 times you've got to buy a new one? Or do you buy a more expensive one that you bitch and moan about the price at the time, but it will now last 10, 20 times? So then the cost per use is negligible because it's lived a lot longer. So there are as many ways that an expensive thing can still be good value for money because it's going to last. Now, as a generic rule, as lace bobbins do not have a hard life, I have managed to break one. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember how I did it, but I did manage to snap one. I think it was one of the ones like this one that had a really, really thin neck, but I think it had an even thinner neck. And I did something, thread caught somewhere, snap, oops, and that was the end of that. But it's something, as a general rule, they really don't have a hard life. So with that in mind, they should last. It's not, it's not like they're one-use bobbins, like the one-use cameras or something, right? It is, they're going to last years, decades, potentially, right? I expect them to outlive me very much. So with that in mind, again, I don't mind paying a bit because, I'm going to get plenty of use out of them. At current rate. I mean, to be honest, feeling slightly guilty about my loom, having spent all that money, and I made a bunch of things on it, but I really need to make a bunch more things on it because it did cost me like $8,000. So I really do need to do more on that because, it still owes me money is the kind of short answer to that. But, again, it'll outlive me and not that I have children or grandchildren, it will outlive a large number of people because, it's designed to. Assuming no one uses it as firewood on my demise. But it is difficult when you look at something and go, it's not that hard. I could do that. Even with, even a limited effort, never really done any form of lathe work before, could probably make the shape of my new favourite bobbins. Really could. As I say, obviously you start with the square bits, you've got to make it round. Preferably make it the right size, but there are ways to do that. Make sure you make it exactly the right size. You then pencil off where the neck is and the dent on the rose, and again with the neck you go down to a certain width so that it is thinner but not too thin that it's kind of going to snap before you're finished. You add the little dent on the rose, and if you're doing them one by one, you kind of taper in for the round at the bottom and take it off, saw off the minute bit of round that you didn't finish doing on the lathe, give it a bit of a polish. I'd say in this case they've given it more of an oil stroke. I won't say French polish teaching because that's not shiny enough, but they've given it obviously some form of oily coating. It's not a wax coating because it doesn't come off. And it's not really varnish, although it could be a very thin varnish. So with all that in mind, it's almost a spray varnish if it is a varnish, right? So with all that in mind, it's not hard work. It is not like it's going to take you, even your first one, if you've never done one, is probably less than 10 minutes work to do the actual lathing portion of it. Now, admittedly, making 750 of the buggers is going to take a while, and you know, but you will speed up a little bit along the way. These would be harder to make because of the more gradual shape of the middle. So to make a much more tapered and reliable shape is harder. But there are ways around that too. And again, if you've got a bit of skill, you make... Well, my dad had a proper one. My man had a proper one, and you know, I learned on that. He had a couple actually, and I remember he had to send one off to be repaired, and he built out of like inch thick plywood, so you know you could drive a small lorry over it. Marked it with fragile, so I think the first time he sent it off, he packaged it up in, you know, big ton of bubble wrap, put it in a cardboard box, marked it as fragile, got it back, and it was utterly in pieces. They'd like drop kicked it out the space shuttle or something, right? And so next time he made this inch thick box for it. Seriously, it was like this thick walls, and it had spray painted fragile on it in, you know, it was stone in the UK, so we didn't have to do multi-language stuff, but you know, it was screwed, bolted together. It was a work of art in its own right. You know, they managed to break that box. They broke the box. It's like, what are you doing? That, you know, I mean, this box, you could literally have driven the car over it and it wouldn't even have flexed a muscle, right? And yet they broke it. Drove him mad. Well, and this is the thing, right? Is that so many of the times these things do pay off. The problem is, as we all know, you don't really need more hobbies. You don't really need to be spending yet more of your time perfecting a hobby to make a thing for the thing of the other thing that you were doing. You know, there is a bit of I really don't need that in my life. I don't need to be getting a lathe so that I now want to make... Yeah, I know. The problem is it, I guess, like everything, that, you know, the phrase of if you want a job done right, do it yourself. From a crafter's point of view, if you have a requirement, the only idiot who's going to get you exactly what you want is yourself. So, if you want a wooden box to store shit in, make your wooden box. If you want to have a specific shelving so that you can slot things in it, make it yourself. If you want whatever you want, just make it yourself. Stop believing that someone else will make one that will suit what you need. And so there you are. You start off with, you know, a really minor hobby. Next thing you know, you've got 26 other hobbies because, well, I don't know. Let's pick this. So, well, okay, printing and laminating. So I got a printer and laminator. Hello, paid for those. I got the program to put the dots on the screen and you know, to measure it and all of that. Expensive piece of crap software that just has so many flaws in it, and she won't hear a word about it. Even when you have video proof, she still won't hear a word about it. The sticks, clearly, could do with an engraver and a cutter for sticks. Oh, well, then there's the cloths and the covering of the pillow. Well, you kind of need a sewing machine or a lot of time and patience for that. And then you've got like the table that it's sitting on, which is a specifically for lacing table. Now I've actually got two. So this one works with The other one works in a much simpler and far more practical manner, which is that it's got holes drilled through it that you put pegs in. So the angle of the top is determined by a semicircle with a bunch of holes in it, and there's a semicircle attached to the top. So you line up the holes, put the peg in for the angle you want. Ta-da! And same's true for the height. You lift it up to the height you want, you shove a peg in it, and well, there you go. So from a point of view of making it, that's a piece of piss. This one's a bit harder in that it's got wooden screwy handle. It's got a top that has a lever handle that applies pressure that's supposed to stop it tilting, but as we all know, doesn't. Which would be far nicer if it was more of a ratchet and pull style idea, so that you could again lock it at a particular angle. Pincushion. I would love to make a better pincushion that's not the size of a 50p piece, that's a bit bigger, and I've got the beans to go in it, I've got some material, but I really want a base for it, because I don't really but at this rate I'm going to have to do without a base for it. But you find yourself going, oh, no I wouldn't, I've probably got one just like it. But this is the thing, you start off with one tiny little hobby, almost of, hey, I'm going to do some cross stitch, and the next thing you know, you're doing woodworking, you're doing metalworking, because you want a different clamp and a stand, and then you need this, so then you end up maybe with resin stuff, because I've really got a thing about resin stuff, and a 3D printer. We need the 3D printer on top of that. And so by the end of it, your entire garage is now full of, it's got a lathe, a bandsaw, a router, it's got one or two 3D printers, because maybe you've gone for the resin one as well as the filament one, and then you've got the etcher and the thing, and then you've got and some more and some stuff and some things, and then maybe some form of electrostatic plating thing, and before you know it, you've kind of got a whole kind of warehouse of tools, and all you wanted to do was darn a sock. It's kind of crafting is definitely a slippery slope. You find yourself doing something minor, and then, such as, you do, let's say you bought all of this stuff, you're not going to make any of it, you have no intention of making any of it, but you want somewhere to put your bobbins. So now you need to make a bag. Well, to make a bag, you now need fabric and some thread and even if you use the thread that you've got here, which is super chunky, well, now you need some needles that are pokey, that will take the thread, and then you need maybe a sewing machine, or if you're going to do it by hand, sanity. And I did see something really nice on Etsy that I thought of getting. Let me see if I can find it. Hang on. See if I can find this, because I did think about buying this. Hang on. Bear in mind, I do have a weakness for click. There it is. So no, not that one. That one. These now. What are you looking at? Here, you are looking at the electronic embroidery pattern. So I've got a sewing machine that does embroidery to make lace bobbins on a piece of cloth. Now for £1.51, yeah, okay. Now, the only problem I've got is that my embroidery machine is not very good at it. Considering how much it cost me, it really needs to be better at it. But apparently they are exceptionally fussy, so they need to be, like spirit level. They need to have kind of concrete weighted tables so they don't move and all this kind of shit. But you know, if you were making bobbin bags, well, now you start wanting to put bobbins that look like the bobbin on the inside, on the outside of the bag, so you know which one's in which. And then, of course, you need to make drawstring bags out of your thing, which isn't hard. We all know that that's not hard. But at the same time, you're still going to make it. And then you start doing things like... Hang on, Rory, I need to move your cushion. There he is. I want to pick this up. Because one of my other hobbies is... Ooh, you can't see it. Dipshit. Inkle weaving. So you end up making bands out of cloth. This took fucking forever. Because the thread I made it from pretty much was the same kind of shit as I'm making lace with. So it's tiny. But I've got a decent length of this. And then you want to put edges on things. And then you want to, oh, well, it's lace. I should really make a lace pattern for the back. And I'm going to be 963 years old before I finish making that darn sock at this rate. You know, it is that kind of thing. Is you start off with, you know, I'll just darn this sock because it's got a hole in it. There you are, 63 years later with 19, you know, quilts, 3 looms, a sewing machine, you know, a garage full of woodworking and metalworking equipment and resin and 3D printers and you're sitting there going, I only wanted to darn a sock. So yeah, let alone, you know, as you say, if you then do multiple hobbies that are not directly related, well, then you want even more shit. It's not good for you. It isn't, well, it's not good for your pocket. Especially in this day and age where everybody's kind of, we're so poor that the council's going to put your council tax up by the maximum amount that they're allowed. So your council tax is going up by 5%, even though, for example, in this road, lady at the big house got burgled. Just before I moved in, someone else around here got burgled. I don't know who that was. The street is mine, so it's not like they pay for the upkeep of the street that I'm living on. There's no street lights in the road that we're in because of course it's privately owned, but on top of that there's no street lights in the road that we're connected to either, or the road that's connected to, or the road that's connected to. So there's no fucking street lights. Don't be telling us you need to pay for that. No one around here's got children, no. So we don't need schools. You know, there is this kind of bit of you going, I know that you divided up between the number of the people, but maybe, I mean, sorry parents, but sometimes, and it's only sometimes, the autistic and logical part of me says, if you have children, you should be contributing towards their education. I didn't have children. I deliberately chose not to have children. So why do I have to pay for it? Why am I paying for somebody else's little shit to go to school? Pay for your own. Because maybe if you knew how much it cost, you wouldn't be doing that. Especially when you see like the series of, there was 22 people living in a council house, and it was one woman and her, well, 21 children. She had one on the way. They were all different fathers. Of course, they were all different fathers. All different fathers, but one of the children was also pregnant. And there wasn't the room. Well, stop having children then. Keep your legs shut. You do know the pill's free, right? And you can get condoms free. You do not have to pay for contraception in this country at all. If you don't want to. So, what do you mean you've got 20 children and another one on the way and you can't afford it. Oh, and the doors come off and it's not... Well, put it back on, you've got enough hands. It's a freaking screwdriver. Liz, the sympathetic, clearly, you know. So there are times when you hear of people like that because in our local area, not imminently local, but in the district that I live in, so the council district that I live in, there is a family who have enough children that they had to knock 2 houses together for them. Then stop giving them money. They can't afford it. They can't afford it. You know, in the animal kingdom, if you can't feed and afford to them, they die off. It's how it works, you know. I remember saying some very unpopular things as a child. Now, as we all may recall, Live Aid. And it was the time of just before the time of Live Aid that I uttered this logical but very unpolitically correct comment, which is, in Africa, where Live Aid was, we've been sending money for, 30 years now, and they're still just as poor and as starving as they were the day we started. But I remember saying that animals move when the food runs out. Animals wander off to find more food. They go with, you know, if the land and where you're living is no longer suitable, they move. Why don't humans do the same? Which is a very logical and valid question. I mean, I also asked why the Americans live on the San Andreas Fault. Because, well, duh, right? Now it's not a wrong thought. It is a valid question. Why is it that humans are the only ones who will not move because where they're now living is no longer suitable? They will stay where they are and be miserable about it. Now, sometimes you don't always have a lot of choice. You know, if you cannot afford rent, for example, you know, if you cannot afford to pay anything because you have no job, then chances are you are not going to be able to go somewhere else and live and keep the job that maybe you do have or that pays bugger all or whatever it is, right? And getting a better paid job is not as simple as it should be. You know, if all you can afford to be doing is flipping fries at McDonald's for 3 hours a week, because that's all the time they'll give you, then, well, that's all you've got. But at least you're trying. So, I remember asking why it was that we had homeless and starving people in this country. Not maybe to their extent, obviously. But, you know, we have homeless and starving here. But we're sending our money abroad when we've got problems of our own to be worrying about. And it still bothers me. You know, council tax going up despite the... Someone recently quoted that the government gave councils, in totality for the entire nation, obviously, £1.4 billion last year, and yet all the councils are claiming they're worse off. How? How can you be receiving of part of £1.4 million, plus you put council taxes up, and still be claiming you are worse off? Now, it just doesn't entirely add up, you know? It's the same as the current kind of hate for Tesco's, Aldi, you know, and all that lot, who are closing down things. Well, exactly. We send a lot of money to Japan and China, who've got, frankly, I mean, they've got problems too, don't get me wrong. but they've also got a hell of a lot of money. So, as you say, right, it is the... If I was in debt, I would be stupid to agree to send, say, you £500 a month when I haven't got it spare, right? Especially if I've got, even more bills coming and I'm still trying to give you money I don't have, right? It is that logic of, it's nice that you want to. It truly is. But can we at least not be putting ourselves in debt doing it? If we need to spend more money on our NHS, if we need sport, which we do, if we need to spend more money on our roads, which we do, if we need to spend more, then we need to spend that money here before we go, hey, we've got spare, you can have some. We're not asking to live on gold-plated streets here. We're asking not to wreck our cars driving down the road at below the speed limit because the pothole's deeper than the height of a tyre. That's all we're asking, right? Is that, frankly, mini sinkholes are not funny. I watched once a cyclist and I really thought I was going to kill him. I spotted that there was a pothole, didn't spot how deep it was, nor did he. He cycled into this really long, thin kind of pothole that just swallowed his front bicycle wheel, stopped it dead in his tracks. He went straight over his handlebars, nearly under my car. Because it was a road where he had pulled out in front of me, shouldn't have done, but did. And I'm following the road, so the road actually does like a 90-degree turn, but I've got right of way. He was joining what looks like it goes straight on, but he's got a giveaway sign, so we went straight over that. But his bike wheel threw him off like a bucking horse, and if I hadn't been hugging the right-hand side because I thought he was an idiot, I'd have driven over him. It's, we when you've got problems like that on your roads in a quote first world country, in the first world country, in the Western world, and let me enlighten you on a fact. Quite a few years ago, there was a big mumble about the spare bedroom tax, right? That never really came to anything. But secretly it did. For I can tell you, somewhere, I've got the letter, my old house, which is still my house, I now have to pay double the council tax this year. Because it is empty. Yet, it's causing less issues for the council than the one I live in, because of course I go to and from it. I cause wear and tear to and from my home, and the parade of Amazon vans and all the rest of it. And the evil bitch who lives next door to it, who keeps reporting that there are rats when there are no rats in my old house, by the way. I know it's a sensitive subject, but I constantly get phone calls from the council telling me that someone's reported rats around my old house. They go out there, they look, and they find zero evidence of any form of rats or anything of the sort, and they're getting really pissed off with the person who reports it, and I know who reports it. And I reported her to the police today because she came round to my house on Saturday without asking, my old house that is, without asking, and trunched round my back garden. Get the fuck off my property. Thank you very much. Trespassing is not appreciated. Bitch. I have video and everything. Just bugger off. Stop snooping around my house, because she sent me kind of menacing-ish text last week about how the ivy is growing back up the fence. Yeah, it was your ivy, love. Don't be blaming me for it. It was your ivy, and it grew into my garden, and just because I'm not there every 10 minutes yanking it up does not mean that, demanding that I take away all the plants in my garden. No. My garden. Enough. So, you know, I basically reported her for trespassing and threatening behaviour, which is not something I would normally do. But she's been hounding me because, of course, the fence between the two properties is her fence, but she tried to make me pay for half of it. And I stood my ground and I went, but it is on my deeds that it is not my fence. I am not paying half of your fence. And then she booked, and because she wanted to buy, I don't like it, but the one that's 90% concrete, so it's got concrete uprights, concrete base with slot-in panels. I don't actually like the look of it. It looks like 70s council fencing to me. But she went with it, and it was more expensive because putting the concrete stuff in is more expensive. So no, love, I'm not going half on it. If I'm going half on it, you put back in what it was like. You go for the wooden shit that, frankly, is half the price. And, you know, I wasn't unprepared to make a donation because it is partly my, it is fence for my property too. I'm not unreasonable, but I was not going to pay half because, well, the fence was perfectly good. She just was, oh, it looks untidy, and, well, yeah, okay, but that's your side, love. Mine's fine. I'm perfectly happy with my side of the fence. You know. So yeah, I feel a little. I mean, I'm not threatened. I don't. But at the same time, I would be concerned if she got the address here, because I can imagine she would come round banging on my door demanding things. I really could. I really do honestly think if she had the address here, she'd be round here. Yeah, I need you to do this. You haven't done this yet. I don't have to, love. And just because it's empty does not mean it would be different if I was living there. You need to back off. It would not be any different if I was living there. The property would be exactly the same as it is now. Because, well, it would be. The only difference would be is their big car in the driveway. It's the only real difference. But yeah, she parked on my driveway. She mooched around the back of my house. Her and some bloke. I don't even know who he is. And I'm assuming it's her because, well, they went round the back of my house and she's been the only kind of nosy bitch that, But it's just kind of... We shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't have... the council should... by the time she's phoned up for like the 4th or 5th time reporting the rats, the council should turn around to her and go, you are just stirring shit, lady. No. Unless you can take a photo of a rat and prove to us that, you've seen something. Bear in mind, she doesn't actually live next door to the house. She rents it out to someone else. It's not even like she lives there. She lives somewhere else, as do I. So she's picking a fight because obviously her renter is trying to get out of paying things. And well, I've seen this. It's all your fault. I'm not paying rent. You need to fix this because, of course, as the this doesn't feel right. Yes, it is. As a landlord, you have to kind of investigate all the things that your renters bring up. Otherwise, they can kind of not pay you or take you to court and stuff. But at the same time, just because you've got a pissy tenant, love, I haven't. It's the whole reason my house is empty. So I don't have a pissy tenant in it. It's actually still got all my old shit in it. So, let's not be pretending here that, it's not even like someone's having... Would you rather I still lived there and had violent parties? I mean, is this your preference? Why does those two together... I mean, I could be around there. I could, if you want, I can put bitch face on it because I've got a bitch face device there and play really loud music if you like. I can't open the windows though. That's the only downside. I haven't got, that option to, wait for a vaguely sunny day tell it to open all the windows and put, you know, some thrash metal on at maximum volume, or even shit shoveling music, because of course I'm not there. I don't have to listen to it. But you see, I wouldn't actually do that. But it's, you know, it's not like, you know, there's drug people there or drunk people or people damaging her property. If anything, she's got the best of the worlds, because she's living next to someone who is infinitely quiet because there's no one there. So, but it is well kept, and it is, you know. But she still finds ways to moan about it. But yeah, I assume that was her in the car mooching around my garden. So I reported with the registration plate that this person was trespassing on my property, and that I believe that it's the lady who owns the house next door who's been reporting rats when there isn't some, sending me threatening and bullying text messages, and that it makes me very uncomfortable. I doubt anything will come of it, but hey, you know, I'll soon know when I get a threatening text message of how dare you call the police on me, you know. Oh, it was you then, love, you know. And I also noticed that Logitech have not renewed, or have said they're not going to renew my what? No, I can't. Hang on. They've said, oh, but you can enable it to renew. No, I can't. Let me just reply to this. Hang on, I need to just do something to prove that it doesn't do what they said it does. Oh, just go into the app and you can change it. No, I can't. It says specifically, no, I can't. Let me just touch screen print. This phone does weird shit to me. It... Because it says, oh, well, you can just go and change it. No, I can't. It says specifically, we are not accepting changes to... You haven't read your own crap. Anyway. let me put you back in a stick. So, we don't need you for a minute. We need you. But as you say, you know, when it comes down to it, there's lots of properties that are owned by big people like the NHS and local governments and all of that kind of stuff. Then, of course, you also get into the well, just how much does the chief in the area actually earn? Because these people are never poor. These people are not the 20 grand a year kind of paupers. These people, you know, sit there on their multi-millions, moaning how hard done by they all are, and someone posted, because obviously, rather famously at the moment, Tesco's and Sainsbury's and Waitrose are all shutting down facilities and stuff of stores because, you know, oh, we're too poor, we're not making enough money, says Sainsbury's, who made record billions last year. And the chief guy, you know, makes like 900 million or something, and it's like, don't be claiming you're a pauper when you've got that kind of money going out. No one needs to earn that sort of money. And again, that was something I struggled with as a child, was that the people who do the work get the least amount of money. Now, there are times, and I'm, you know, as an adult, I am more aware of this than before, that you need a level of management and to someone to make decisions about whether something is a good idea or a bad idea. Someone has to decide. And so from that point of view, you know, because they've got, you know, the fate of the company in their hands kind of thing, fine. That, you know, they should get something for that. But I have never forgotten, in one of my first commercial jobs, I think it was about the third commercial job I had, but that's not the point. One of my first commercial jobs, I ended up working for a payroll company. And one of the things I used to have to do was every other week we produced pay slips, and the number of Mickey Mice we paid for cleaning, because it was a cleaning company, was unrealistic. It seriously, the printer printed off for like 10 minutes pay slips for Mickey Mouse, right? It was back in the day when things were a lot less tight. However, we also, of course, had to do our own payroll. And I was not originally allowed to view our own payroll the same way we did ours. And I had to call my boss to do it, because it was deemed that, you know, it is sensitive information, because basically it allows me to view how much everyone gets paid. And being bottom of the tree, you know, 10 grand a year person, this could be seen to be a little bit unfair that I got to sit. So they, you know, the rule was boss had to check it. Well, one day, boss was down the pub and couldn't be asked to come back to check it. And he said, well, you check it. And I went, are you really sure? And he went, yeah. Unfortunately, Mr. Ahmed, being an A, was the first person on the tape. And, well, he was the financial director. Now, I can tell you that in 1990, this man was taking home £11,000 a month. But this is also the man who would swan in at 10:30, piss off at 1:30, and have like a 2-hour lunch break in the middle. He was taking home more in a month than my overall salary before taxes and national insurance and everything else, right? Yeah, that hurt. That hurt a lot. Seeing that someone was paid so much more than me, but I was the one that did night shift. I was the one that did... I used to work really, really odd hours in that company. So an average week starting on a Monday. The first week, because it was a 2-week cycle, the first week you worked Monday 9 to 5. Then Tuesday Tuesday you did 9 to 5. Wednesday you did 9 to 5. Thursday I had to do 2 till 11 at night. Well, 2 in the afternoon till 11 at night. Friday was 9 to 5. Saturday was morning to stroke early afternoon. Sunday was free. Repeat for next week, but Monday was a full normal day. Tuesday was now don't come in till 7 o'clock at night. Then you are there till 9 o'clock the next morning. All on your own, lone working in the middle of frickin' nowhere. And when someone ram-raided the shop opposite, yeah, that scared the living bejesus out of me. And when the bakery started up underneath me and no one knew, because of course I'd arrived at 7 o'clock at night, and dropped all of their metal baking tins at like 5 o'clock in the morning, damn tooting, I pooped myself. The joys of doing that, because I was completely on my own. And... you know, so I was doing shift work, I was doing weekends, and of course once a month, so that Saturday, so on the second week, you'd work all of Tuesday night to Wednesday morning, you then had Wednesday off, you then came in late on Thursday, but you didn't have to work the Saturday, because you'd just done that, right? So from that point of view, bonus, no, that's not right. That is right. But once a month, I then had to do the weekend. So what would have been the free weekend was now occupied with doing the monthly backup. And the monthly backup started Friday night and finished it Sunday evening. And I had to be there the whole time, right? Because that's just how it was. And those were my hours. And, you know, there's me earning 11 grand a year. This bloke swans in, does like 2 hours worth of work, if that, and walks home with more money than I get in an entire year. Yeah, that's... I've done something really weird somewhere. Something's gone wrong, you know. Need to undo you, because you're wrong. Something is not right. So yeah, it was an unpleasant time. So yeah, it was slightly upsetting to find out that he earned quite that much. And you know, I'm sorry, but as you're the finance dude for a payroll company, well, we pay people to do a job. You either owe them money or you don't. There's not a lot of decision making there. It's, you know, so yeah, I became very aware that the world was not fair at that point, as you do. You know it's not fair, but you don't need it rubbed in your face, really. Which it felt very rubbed in our faces at that point. And of course, the moment I left because I needed more money than they were paying, they paid the next person twice as much as me to do my job. And you're kind of like, well, if you'd been prepared to pay me that, I probably wouldn't have left, you know. But as you say, it's things like, you know, hearing the electric and the gas companies go, woe is us, we're poor. But you just announced you had record profits. How can you be poor? You know. Yeah, it's almost like going, oh, I managed to save $100,000 this year, but I can't afford to have any food. Well, you've got $100,000 in the bank. Go and eat then. It doesn't add up sometimes. It really doesn't. And it's hard to understand their justifications as well. As you say, you know, when we can't afford to do this and we've got to put money up because we're too broke over here, but we're too busy giving it to everybody else. We'll stop giving it to everybody else then. Pay your own bills first, you know. So yeah, the world is a crazy place. It really is. Utterly crazy. Out of drink. If you bear with me, Nautical, I'm just going to go and get some Coke because I am thirsty and it's been one of those days, so I need more drink. Oh dear, did I disturb his furriness? This wretched animal. Back in a minute. They're puppy pups. You all got off your spots and you were all comfortable and now you're not and you weren't missing out. No, you weren't. Hello, little one. You were not missing out. No. What are you doing? Just go back to sleep. It's right, Gecko's kind of in the way of the wheel of my table. What? Yes, I see you. And I do love you, little one. Yes, I do. Yes, you are. You are loved. Yes, you are. Hmm? Are you hollow, dog? I know I fed you. But are you all hollow and starved and deprived? Hmm? Do I torture you and deprive you? Do I? Do I? Really? I think you're lying. You have like 24/7 hugs. Yes. You get food, lots of food. You get sweeties and treats, hugs on demand. You get to go places and sniff things and chase things. Don't be telling me that you're deprived. No. For you be lying. This doesn't work out. I think I forgot to do... Yeah, that was the wrong pin, I think. Was it? Was it the wrong pin? Yeah, because that was you. You need to go... I'm missing an output. Hang on. I remember I was kind of confused at the end and I thought it was wrong. Well, it turns out I was right, because there should be a pair of bobbins here and there isn't. So if I undo you... Now, the question is, what the hell? So, I'm guessing you should come out here. You and you. Yes, yes, yes. You go through here. You come out this one. Twisty, twisty. Back through you. Sod off because we need to. Then you come through here like that. You put the pin in. And now, twisty, twisty, you go back through here. You're also done for. So there. And now we have the right pairs of bobbins to finish this. Yay! Don't forget to cross them, bitch. Ah, cross them now before I forget. See, worked it all out in the end. Worked it all out in the end. It's all right, little pups. So, let's go back to the start of this. must be wanting to type a message to someone. Hang on. Sorry. Hello, lurking is perfectly good. Lurking is good. It's nice to know that you're out there. One of you two has just let out a stink. And judging by the side eye, it'll be you. Thanks for that. If you can't see the stink cloud on camera, just be grateful. It feels like you should. I mean, if it was cartoon, there'd be a green cloud of noxious gas coming across. Oops. You need to be a bit longer, clearly. It's my internet trying to play up. Keep that off. Just to let you know, there may be some issues going on at Twitch. A guy I watch just went from 1,200 viewers to 600 and loads of us were reporting. Well, I didn't bother reporting it to him, but they were moaning that, you know, it was coming up with an error message. So if you get that, it's not me. It seems to be Twitch. So. The one thing the pair of you will appreciate is, remember I used to have a really, really, really full tin of pins? By not taking the pins out of the triangles, look how few pins we've got left in the pot now. Just as well I bought more, right? Because to be honest, I honestly thought there was more than plenty in there to do a square. I was wrong. Getting there, doing all right. I do love you very much, Rory. I do. I do. But I'm busy. No, no. It's a hard life being a puppy dog. It is. You're so deprived. Yes, you are. Your life is so hard. I don't feed you bones by the hand all day, wafting you gently with a large frond, while you laze on the couch. No, I know. You are a pup of broken dreams. Well, we're nearly done. I've got 6 pins to go. And then I'll push a load of pins down. We will celebrate the fact that we finished a triangle. And then I can hug you and we'll watch telly. How does that sound? Does that sound good? Is that alright? Well, can I do that? Can I? I think so. Yeah, sure. Oh, lie down. Let me finish this then. we're going to do that, you're going to have to let me finish it. I don't know where the rest of those bobbins went, but because we're two pairs of bobbin short, must have some sixes or something floating around. Right, so let's turn you round this way. And of course now we're going to add, so let's put you over there a second. And we can press you down as well. Sticky device. Here we go. Right, so let's put you there. I just took you off. You're wrong. Pokey pin. actually think we did pretty good there. So time for a photo. Let's push these down a bit for strength because that's definitely missing. Right. What we need to do now is take Hedgie off because he's in the way. Put these back over here like this because you can go there, I guess. We need to lift you, take the pin out, put it in there for a minute, and this pin, this pin, just to make our lives easier, so that we can scoop you up. Put you back in, like that. So, you are next, you are after, that's you, and you. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just sorting out my bobbins, ready for the next triangle. That's what I do, have a habit of doing, and it has worked out pretty well so far. Where are you from? You are the next set of bobbins, and I've got to re-sort out your pins because you've screwed up. But what I can do is move this cloth around now to protect the whole half that we've done. Like this. And pin it down again. You have to pin this end down because you're rolling bobbins this end. This one you have to pin down a little, but not as much, because, well, you're not really doing so much this end. And then we flip the bobbins. So let's check which order you are in, because you're looking slightly tangled. There you go. So you're at the bottom, like that, because then the threads lie flat, you see. So you're next, and then you, and you, and you, you, and you two can stay, but you look like you've come off your pins. This is what I mean by twisting. They've twisted in the thing, so they're all out of whack, which is why I tend to flip them so they don't come out twisting. Now this is just a hot mess, so two can come round like this. And now we are ready for a new triangle. Now, I'm going to do this real time because I want to see if this works real time. So bear with me 1 second. I have been meaning to try that and do this for a little while. So hold your horses for 2 seconds. And then progress. I didn't ask for that. Progress. Thing. Where's green? There it is. Have you ever noticed how everything's so much slower when you don't need it to be? So, I need to poke you, save you. Let's shrink you in a little bit because I want to see this happening if it happens first time. File. No, not your file. Your file. Export as. Replace. Go. Ting! It does do it real time. How cool is that? So there you go. We have now finished an extra triangle. triangle 19 to start tomorrow. For I'm going to call it quits. I know it's only 9:30 and I could start. I am really tempted to start, but it's quite quiet. So I am a little come on, you two. Wake up, wake up. Call to arms, call to arms. Do I start the next triangle or can I go and have a snooze and hug the dog? Your responses are required, please. Well, as neither of you are alive, I mourn your souls. I shall call it quits for the day. I shall be back tomorrow where we will start number 19 and I will upload this video and we can revel in the joy of starting again tomorrow in our little repetitive world of triangles. Kind of happy though. We've done 4.5 squares now. You know, it's definitely growing. It's becoming a thing. Definitely feeling cool. Definitely feeling cool with it. I mean, as I say, there is now part of me which is really desperate to do a Bucks Point one, which is 99% ground stitch with just a little bit of kind of interest at the bottom. But let's finish this one first. So, thank you for your company today. I know you're all asleep now, but that's fine. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Well, you should have voted on having me start the next triangle then. Be good and see you tomorrow.